The Rocking Horse. One night, when I was maybe 10 or 12, I had trouble falling asleep. My bedroom was the entire top floor of our house, with my bed being such on the left side, storage closets and the play area being on the right side. I was lying in bed when I heard a noise from the other side of the room to see a rocking horse begin to rock. I was sitting just outside of one of the closet doors. It proceeded to rock its way halfway across the room, and it stopped dead under the ceiling light. At this point, I'm freaking out and just buried my head under my blankets and never peeked out again until the morning. It was all confirmed to not be a dream, as the rocking horse was still in the middle of my room when I woke up. Furthermore, I got a stern reprimand from my parents for being up out of bed playing with my toys well past bedtime. Their bedroom was directly below the storage closet play area, where I'd heard the creaking and the rocking horse shuffling across the room. On one particular night, my dad had had enough. He made his way to my room when he heard the rocking horse make more noise than usual. When he opened up the door, he saw the rocking horse going back and forth, right underneath the light. My dad looked stunned for a second, but at the same time, there was a sense of peace in his eyes when he looked at it. He turned his head towards me and said, "Son, looks like you have a new playmate. Just do me a favor. Play before y'all go to bed, and when it's bedtime, go to sleep." The Invisible Roommate. I currently live in a haunted house. I've heard voices, footsteps, lights have been turned off and on. I can hear it clattering in the drawer all the time, and sometimes a knife or two will end up in the wrong slot in the drawer. But the strangest and scariest experience I've ever had was on my first night when I spent the night in the house. I wasn't finished moving in, and there were boxes everywhere. I didn't even have a chance to get my mattress set up yet. I was bedding on an old futon mattress watching a video on my phone. Then I got a pins and needles feeling on my feet while I was trying to fall asleep. Except it wasn't on my feet. It was on top of my head in the shape of a hand. I said goodnight, turned off my light, and tried to sleep. When I woke up, my closet door was ajar, but other than that, everything was otherwise untouched. I guess whoever my unseen roommate is just wanted to check out who I was on the first night. I know, it was really strange.
The cell phone.
A couple of months ago, my friend's cousin, a single mother, bought a new cell phone. After a long day of work, she came home, placed her phone on the counter, and went to watch TV. Her son came to her and asked if she could play with her new phone. She told him not to call anyone or mess with text messages, and he agreed. Around 11:20, she was drowsy, so she decided to tuck her son in to go to bed. She walked into his room and saw that he wasn't there. She then ran over to her room to find him sleeping on her bed with a cell phone in his hand. Browsing through it, she noticed only minor changes, such as a new background, banner, but then she opened it up to her saved pictures. She began deleting pictures he had taken until only one new picture remained. When she first saw it, she was in disbelief. It was her son sleeping on her bed, but the picture was taken by someone else above him, and it showed the left half of an elderly woman's face. You always make me happy. When I was around 16 years old, my rapidly growing family finally moved into a house I'd spent my entire life in. As you would expect, we spent a lot of time fondly remembering things we used to do in the house as we were packing everything up. At some point, I decided to go to the downstairs closet with a flashlight and read something I used to do when I was younger, just to get some peace and quiet. Now, this is one of those deep closets that goes under the stairs. It went back around 8 feet, then I had to turn left, maybe into a low 3-foot space. It was really small. This space was largely occupied by a mound of old blankets and stuffed animals. Of course, this is the most fluffy spot to sit down and read. After about an hour, I shift to get a little bit more comfortable, and I hear a low, slow, hoarse voice saying,
"You always make me happy."
I flipped my shit, hit my head on the low ceiling, and practically broke down the door getting out. After hyperventilating and explaining to my family why there was no color left on my face, I went back to see what it was. It was my stuffed little bear from when I was 3 or 4 years old that I happened to lean on just right to press on its belly. When I pressed on its stomach again, though, nothing. This poor bear I hadn't played with since I was a toddler used the last of its batteries, used its dying breath to tell me I made it happy. You made me happy too, little bear. When you're not making me piss myself, that is. Ghost Bro. My house was built in 1914. It is a single-family home, wood frames sitting on a concrete block foundation. I have been living here for about 12 years. Of all the weird things that my siblings and I have experienced or heard in this house, this one event is my favorite. This happened to my brother. About 10 years ago, my brother and his best friend started a garage rock band, playing mainly Spanish rock, alternative music but just in Spanish. His friends could only get together Sunday afternoons. They would practice into the early evenings and would usually call it quits about 8 p.m. This was the time I usually showed up and went to bed because I worked the graveyard shift. This happened in late fall, so the days were getting shorter, and they had just finished a long session when the decision to come to somebody else's house came about. My brother handed his car keys to his buddy so they could load up the equipment. Everyone had filed out to the basement, but the tricky part was they needed to walk all the way down back to the basement, back up the stairs, through the kitchen doorway, down the hall into the living room, into the front porch. Everyone was outside sitting on my brother's truck waiting for him. My brother was walking back upstairs when he remembered that he had left his pancakes in a to-go container sitting on the speaker in the basement. He made the decision to go back. Now the basement is not clean. A bunch of junk all over the place, everything's just a complete mess. So after my brother walks back, he's about to get his food container, when out of the corner of his eye he sees it. It's a shadowy figure, right out of his peripheral vision. This feeling of dread and uneasiness washed over my brother. We had been taught that if you're in the presence of a spirit or a ghost and you had a bad vibe, to say a quick prayer or just cuss at it. My brother chose the latter. He basically just told it, "Hey, fuck you. I don't have time for this shit." My brother started to walk to the back of the basement and briskly up the stairs, closing the doors and turning off the lights as he was walking out. The last light switch is on the opposite side of the door. Luckily, the door was open and the light from the street lamp was flooding the living room with its amber light. My brother said he felt something at his back, but at no point did he turn around. As he flicked the last light switch, the living room went dark, as did the rest of the house. As he stepped out, he pulled the door, closing it behind him, still holding his food container in one hand as he jogged down the porch steps. Our house resides far from the main street, essentially having a large front yard but no rear garage. As he closed the gap between himself and his truck, he kind of smiled and thought things over his head, mad at himself for spooking out when there was no reason. He climbed into the driver's side of the truck, putting his seatbelt on, getting ready to pull out in front of the parking spot directly in front of the house, when one of his friends asked, "Hey, what about your brother? Isn't he coming with us?" My brother answered, "What do you mean? He went to work early tonight. He's already gone. Do you see his car anywhere?" The next question they asked, "So, who was that walking behind you when you left the house, bro?"